Shabbat Shalom, my friends. This is one strange day. It is the day of the full cold moon, according to Native American lore. The full cold moon occurs immediately after the winter solstice, and there's even going to be a meteor shower tonight. Right now, the nights are as long as they ever will be, and also very dark, very cold. It's a time when fires are kindled throughout the world in the hope that the furnace of the sun can be reignited and reward all of life with heat and with light. So it's a time of fear, and yet also it's a time of slowly rising hopes. Winter is often called a time of death, but spring is a time of rebirth for all of nature. So be strong and of good courage, for in the not-too-distant future, our light will surely shine. Welcome to our study of the very last Torah portion in the book of Genesis. The Sedra is Vayechi, beginning Genesis 47, verse 28 and following. Many of us will be holding a siyum this Saturday morning as we chant Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Let us be strong, let us be strong, let us strengthen one another, after the last words of the sacred text are read, finishing the book of Genesis. And then we're going to have a grand Kiddush celebration, and next week we once again will begin the annual countdown toward the Exodus, when we start the book of Shemot, book of Exodus 1:1, and read, of course, of the birth of Moses. The cycle of the Joseph narratives now comes to a close. The family of Jacob is resident in Goshen, a district in the land of Egypt. Joseph is viceroy over all of Egypt. The stage is set for the time when a new Pharaoh will arise over Egypt, a Pharaoh who will choose to ignore the contributions that Joseph made to the very survival of the Egyptian people. But first, in our Sedra, Jacob will die and be buried in Canaan. And then Joseph will die. Joseph will be embalmed, and he will only be returned to Canaan actually during the Exodus itself. Joseph's bones will literally be carried alongside of the Holy Ark by the Israelites during the wilderness wandering. Just picture this, the bones of the past and the stone tablets upon which the future is engraved, traveling together to the promised land. Before these deaths, Jacob will reach out to each of his sons to bless them. They will each become founders of one of the tribes of Israel. But there will be no Joseph tribe. Rather, Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, will each head tribes of their own. Now, this little anomaly was a source of challenge for the great artist Marc Chagall. 12 tribes to be represented in 12 stained glass windows in the chapel of Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem. But only 11 sons would get chapel windows, tribal windows. The Joseph window, the 12th window, is going to be divided between his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and Joseph barely visible. Joseph brings Ephraim and Manasseh to be blessed by Jacob, and yet another strange scene unfolds. Instead of placing his right hand, the favorite hand, the hand of power, upon Manasseh's head, because Manasseh was the firstborn, Jacob places his right hand on Ephraim's head. Previously, remember this, Isaac had replaced Ishmael, despite the fact that Ishmael was the firstborn. Then Jacob replaced Esau. Now Ephraim replaced Manasseh. And later on, the Levites will replace the firstborn sons as the ones authorized to offer the sacrifices. Being a firstborn son apparently offered few long-standing permanent guarantees in ancient times. Now the rabbis will explain that this choosing of the younger over the elder is actually a clear expression as to how God operates in our world. We won't gain power or recognition just because of who our parents were or just because of our birth order. Each one of us, say the rabbis, is to be judged by our own deeds, our own temperaments, our own values. The ethically and spiritually gifted will be the ones who will legitimately bear the mantles of leadership and responsibility. That's a great litmus test for who is fit to be a leader. Now, Jacob was a very old man. Maybe Jacob didn't understand what he was doing anymore when he put his hands out. Rashi jumps in and says, no, not possible. In fact, Jacob's hands operated with a wisdom all of their own. These hands went where they knew they should be. Not a question of how old Jacob was, but what God's intention was. Most of the commentators end up agreeing with Rashi. Automated hands, no mistake was made here. Just like no mistake was made with regard to Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, God's plans will not be thwarted. There is a brief allusion in our text to a thought that Jacob blessed Joseph as well, but most of the commentators claim that the blessings that came for Joseph's children were sufficient to serve as blessings for Joseph. Now, we can kind of reframe that claim this way. When the kids are happy, then the parents feel blessed. Think about that. Old wisdom, kind of new wisdom. I suspect that many of us can certainly go along with that interpretation. From the time that our kids were born, Risa and I have blessed them each and every Erev Shabbat that we are together. We say, Yisimch Elohim ke'Ephraim and Manasseh. May God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh. And to our daughters we say, Yisimech Elohim ke'Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May God make you as Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Those blessings, the weekly Shabbat blessings by parents over their children, are derived directly from this text. And now there is a final strange, out of the ordinary, unexpected turn. Strange chapter. As Jacob blessed his grandsons, he said, may the angel who has redeemed me from all harm bless these young men. In them may my name be recalled and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they become teeming multitudes upon the face of the earth. May the angel who has redeemed me from all harm bless these young men. The Hebrew text of this verse is sung in Orthodox settings for a variety of happy occasions. It has a powerful, lilting refrain. It's incredibly familiar to those who regularly daven in a traditional synagogue. HaMalach HaGoel Oti, may the angel who has redeemed me from all harm. So what's happening here is that Jacob is asking his guardian angel to bless the new generation. In this way, Jacob transfers the unique protection that he has had from God to these young people. Jacob knows that the greatest assurance that his world will ever bear worthy fruit is if his grandchildren choose to follow in his path. Jacob didn't say, may the God of my great-grandfather Terach bless you. Oh no. The revolution that gave birth to the Jewish people started with Abraham. Our world began with Abraham, so the blessing begins with Abraham. And Rachel, the most beloved wife of Jacob, becomes a metaphor. Rachel, a metaphor for the entire Jewish people. She weeps for our exile. She will rejoice in our salvation. And Joseph is Rachel's firstborn. And Ephraim and Manasseh are Joseph's children. Do you see the line? Do you see the line? So They are granted the privilege, Ephraim and Manasseh are granted the privilege of being tasked with preserving the Jewish future. And that is why we bless our sons in the name of Ephraim and Manasseh, and our daughters in the names of Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. The fate of everything that we hold to be precious lies in the hands of our children and our grandchildren. A long, cold night and a text marked by death and separation. But just as the longest night gives rise to lengthening days, the deaths of Jacob and Joseph give rise to a new generation worthy of carrying on the task of creating the Jewish people. A leadership achieved not by birth or by inheritance, but by sturdy values and worthy deeds. Abraham's great-grandchildren will step into the breach left by our matriarchs and patriarchs. Intense darkness is yet to enter this story. But then, so will new hope be born. Okay, that's it. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great Siyum Shabbat morning. Enjoy the meteor showers. Have a wonderful weekend.